If you think Reddit is just memes and jokes, you have not seen the threads I read at 2 a.m. One story was so disturbing it made me sleep with the lights on for a week. Before I tell it, hit like and subscribe to MR.NightSleep so you never miss these terrifying stories from Reddit. The post was from a user who claimed this really happened to him last winter. For this story, I will call him Daniel. He lived alone in a small one-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of an old brick building. The kind of place with thin walls, dim hallways, and doors that never feel fully locked. It started on a Tuesday night. Daniel worked a late shift and got home around midnight. He made a quick dinner, watched some videos, and finally went to bed a little after 2 a.m. At exactly 3:17 a.m. Someone knocked on his door. Not loud, just 3 light, polite taps. Daniel shot awake, heart pounding. When you live alone, any sound in the middle of the night feels wrong. He grabbed his phone, checked the time, and listened. A knock came again. 3 soft taps, like whoever it was did not want to wake the neighbors. He called out, "Who is it?" No answer. He slid out of bed, walked to the door, and looked through the peephole. No one was there. The hallway was empty, lit by one buzzing yellow bulb. He waited a few seconds, watching. Nothing moved. He finally went back to bed, telling himself it was probably a drunk neighbor at the wrong door. The next night, he was ready. He went to bed around the same time, but this time he checked his phone when he climbed under the covers. It was 3:10 a.m. He stared at the screen, watching the minutes change. 3:15, 3:16, 3:17. Right on time, the knock came. 3 soft taps on the wood. Daniel's skin went cold. He had not been asleep this time. He whispered, "Who is it?" trying not to sound scared. Again, no answer. He checked the peephole. The hallway was empty. Just the long stained carpet and the walls that needed paint. He stood there, watching through the fisheye lens for a full minute. No one walked away. No doors opened or closed. Daniel posted about it the next day on Reddit, half as a joke. He asked if anyone else had experienced exact time knocks in an apartment. Most people just made jokes or said it was probably pipes or a weird neighbor. One comment stood out. It was from someone who said, "Check your building's security cameras if you can." He replied that his building had one cheap camera in the lobby and one in the 3rd floor hallway. The commenter said, "If it happens again tonight, see if the landlord will show you the footage." Daniel decided he would try. That night he stayed up in bed again, phone in hand. 3:17 a.m. came, and so did the knock. This time, he did not answer. He just stared at the door, barely breathing. The knock did not come a second time. In the morning, he went down to the office. The landlord was an older guy who lived on the ground floor. Daniel told him someone had been knocking late at night and asked to see the hallway footage. The landlord sighed but agreed to check. They went into a little back room with a monitor and a dusty DVR. He rewound the 3rd floor camera to around 3:10 a.m. The video was grainy, black and white, but clear enough to see shapes. They watched in silence. At 3:17 a.m., on the screen, Daniel's door came into view, and that was it. No one walked up, no one stood in front of it. No shadow, no movement, nothing. But on the recording, at the exact moment Daniel heard the knock, the door itself shook slightly, like someone had hit it from the hallway side. The landlord frowned. He leaned closer to the screen and rewound, then played it again. Same thing. The empty hallway, then a tiny vibration in Daniel's door at 3:17 a.m. No one visible. The landlord said, "Must be the building settling or something." Daniel pointed at the timestamp and said, "Buildings do not settle on a schedule." The landlord did not have an answer for that. He told Daniel he would check the hinges and the frame later. Daniel went back upstairs with a knot in his stomach. He had proof something touched his door, but nothing had been there. The next few nights, nothing happened. No knocks, no weird sounds. Daniel started to relax. He told himself it was probably some wiring issue with the camera and just bad timing. Then, on Sunday, everything got worse. That night, he fell asleep on the couch watching a movie. His TV light was still flickering when a sharp sound yanked him awake. It was not a knock. It was his phone buzzing on the coffee table. He squinted at the screen. It was a notification from his cheap smart doorbell camera. He had almost forgotten he installed it when he moved in. The alert said, "Motion detected at your door." Daniel sat up, heart pounding again. The time on the notification was 3:17 a.m. He opened the app with shaking hands. The thumbnail was just his front door, as always. He tapped the clip and hit play. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Just his door and the grey hallway light. Then there was a sound in the video. 3 soft taps. The phone speaker played the same knock he had heard in person, but like the hallway camera, the doorbell video showed no one standing there, just the sound and a tiny vibration of the frame. Daniel paused the clip and listened again. 3 taps. No footsteps before, no footsteps after, just silence. Then the knock. He posted an update on Reddit, linking a short clip with the video blurred. The comments went crazy. Some said it had to be fake. Others talked about ghosts, glitches, or someone invisible. One user left a comment that made Daniel's blood run cold. They wrote, "Look at the reflection in the peephole at the 10-second mark." Daniel went back to the video and watched frame by frame. At first he did not see anything. Then he paused it right after the knock. In the tiny warped reflection of the peephole, he saw something. It was a face. His own face. The reflection looked like Daniel was standing on the outside of his own door, staring back in. His mouth was closed, eyes slightly too wide for comfort. It was him, but wrong. Daniel slammed his laptop shut. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it. He tried to tell himself it was just a trick of the light, a weird distortion. Maybe the angle of the camera had caught his reflection from inside somehow, but the camera was mounted outside the door. For the rest of that night, he sat awake in the living room with every light on. He kept glancing at the door, waiting. 3:17 a.m. passed without a knock. The next night, same thing. Silence at 3:17, but not peace. A week later, Daniel got home from work to find a note slipped under his door. Just a plain folded piece of paper with no envelope. He opened it with shaking fingers. Inside, in messy handwriting, it said one line. "Stop posting about this." There was no name, no apartment number, no explanation. He checked the peephole, then slowly opened the door. The hallway was empty again. He knocked on his immediate neighbor's door and asked if they had seen anyone lurking around. They said they had not, but their face looked nervous. That night, Daniel did not go to bed. He set up his phone on the kitchen counter facing the door. He propped up his laptop to both recording. He sat in a chair with a baseball bat in his hands and the TV on mute. The apartment felt smaller and darker than ever. At 3:16 a.m., the air seemed to go still. The refrigerator hum felt louder. His own breathing sounded too fast. He tightened his grip on the bat and stared at the door. 3:17 a.m. ticked over on the stove clock. No knock, no sound. Instead, his phone on the counter buzzed. "Motion detected at your door," the notification said again. He swallowed and opened the app. The live view showed his door from the outside. No one there. He turned the volume all the way up. For a moment, there was only a low static hiss. Then, through the speaker, he heard his own voice. It was faint, distorted, but it was definitely him. The voice from the hallway said, in a flat tone, "Stop posting about this." Daniel dropped the phone. It clattered on the counter, still playing the quiet hallway. In his own apartment, he had never said those words out loud. The next morning, he went straight to the landlord. He said he wanted to break his lease. The landlord barely argued. He just looked tired and asked what unit Daniel was moving to. Daniel said, "Anywhere but here." On his last day, as he was carrying the final box to his car, he saw a new tenant walking up the stairs. A young woman with headphones around her neck and a plant in her arms. She smiled and asked, "Is the 3rd floor this way?" Daniel nodded and asked what unit she was in. She said the number of his old apartment. He opened his mouth to warn her, to tell her about the knocks, the videos, the note, but nothing came out. It felt like his throat closed for a second. Finally, he just said, "Walls are thin. Try to sleep with some noise on." He posted his final update on Reddit after he moved. He said the knocks never followed him. He never got another motion alert at 3:17 a.m., but every once in a while, someone would message him saying they heard a similar story. Same time, same kind of building, same soft knock. He ended his post with one last line. "If you ever hear 3 gentle taps at exactly 3:17 a.m., do not open the door. Now I want to know what you think. Was this a glitch, a stalker, something paranormal, or just a really good story? Would you open the door, check the camera, or pretend you never heard it? Tell me your theory in the comments, and share this video with a friend who loves terrifying stories from Reddit. And if you want more creepy tales like this, make sure you are subscribed and watching for the next one here on Mr. Night.